let's get into this Boise State thing. Boise State yesterday, essentially, Spencer Danielson announced that freshmen will not be allowed to have NIL deals. I am not so certain that you remember Brian Kelly yesterday said basically the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
If you're here for a bag, don't come here. Good old Spence up in Boise went a little further than that.
Obviously, it's our job as a coaching staff, especially my job as a head coach, to build those relationships with these young men. I tell them, I'm involved in these kids' life because I love them, because I care about them, to develop them to be the best version of themselves off the field and on the field. And that is making sure we show them how we're going to develop them for the next level, and keeping the families and everyone connected as you walk through the process, because that's what we're different here. If someone was here just for the money or other stuff, that's not going to be a fit here. No different in recruiting. That's why when I talk to recruits, I'm upfront about those things. If you're wanting things that don't directly correlate to you developing, do not come here. If it's about your jersey number and how much money you're getting on the first trip, do not come to Boise State. You will hate me and you will not want to be here. But if you're about developing to be the best version of yourself and be elite and want to compete, bet on yourself, come on. You're going to fit here.
If it's about the jersey, because this is becoming a thing. This is where we're at with NIL. And this is what pisses me off about NIL. Man, I can't come there. You won't give me 69, bro? Can't do it. But you're a wide receiver. Yeah, I know. I want to wear 69. This is where we're at with NIL. Where we have kids, the money's not enough. It's got to be a jersey number. And he straight up said, freshmen will not be getting NIL deals. And Spencer said, hey, I can't stop you. If a local business wants to use one of our freshmen to promote their business, I can't stop that. He's essentially saying the school and the collectives will not be doing deals with incoming freshmen.
Mm-hmm.
You can say that at LSU. Can you say that at Boise State?
I don't think you can. And I think that we're going to see a lot of head coaches take this route, though. We're going to see a lot of head coaches do the whole, hey, we got to take a high ground here. If you're just here for the money and you're here for the wrong reasons, then we don't want you per se. We don't need you. We don't want you. We're Spencer talked all about how they want the right guy. He multiple times in his availability said, we don't have to recruit the whole country, right? He goes on to say, we need 25, maybe 30 guys, an off season to come into our program and be the right fit. So to me, I just look at this guy and I say, hey, you need to understand your place here. I agree. You can say it at LSU. You can say it at Georgia and Bama, but saying it at Boise State doesn't necessarily work. Your pool of availability to players is too small to just be axing out guys who are maybe more interested in money and benefits than they are in being a Boise State Bronco and trying to fit into your mantra. And, I also thought it was really interesting that, we needed all this clarity yesterday on this comment about freshmen, right? Oh, well, hey, we're not going to be, the school and the collective isn't going to be doing deals with incoming freshmen. There was kind of an awkwardness around that on Twitter yesterday. There was a lot of clarity and hey, did he say that freshmen can't do NIL deals or what did he say? And it's dude, I understand that there has to be a media strategy with the NIL situation. I get that. But you got to know the difference between, P5 or P4 college football playoff contending program and Mountain West never going to get into the college football playoff program, because Boise State's going to have a real hard time getting into the college football playoff. Let's be real.
This is a mistake. And I think when you look at this and you begin to understand, this is a mistake. When you see this right here, and here's the clarifying comment from Ron Counts. This is a big deal. This is a big deal. And he's saying that Boise State football coach Spencer Danielson said today that incoming freshmen are not eligible to make NIL money during their first year in the program. He wants players to have to work to earn it. That's neat, and that's all well and good. But I'm telling you now, that's not how you thrive at Boise State.
Yeah.
And I understand the challenges. I understand this life you chose, Coach, is not an easy one with NIL. But you either get on board with it or you're going to lose. It is Dabo. It is Saban. It is every coach that didn't want to do it, and they're not either coaching or they're not winning if they are coaching. You can't fight the portal. You can't fight NIL. You cannot fight what a kid knows that he can do and the money he can earn and think that you can stand on values and brand and that's going to be good enough. You're Boise State. And with all due respect, you're not on that level.
Mm-hmm.
You're not on that level. Your facilities are beautiful. You've made significant investments. You're still not on that level. You're not Bama. You're not Oregon. You're not dictating to kids what they can and cannot earn. They are dictating to you. And again, I understand that Boise is probably not contending for the same cut of athlete that Utah is, that Oregon is. Totally understand that. I think BYU and Boise fight for the same kids, and they're going to go to BYU over Boise, all things being equal. Honor code be damned. They're going to go to BYU because they're going to earn more money at BYU than they will at Boise. They will have more opportunity for a college football playoff appearance at BYU than they will at Boise.
Mm-hmm.
Plain and simple. BYU is going to play in bigger stadiums, in bigger games, wearing better uniforms. And you can earn money as a freshman in NIL. This is, and I don't know if this is going too far. Is this cutting off your nose to spite your morals? Is that what this is? Are you bucking the system and trying to be something special and unique? Because all you did yesterday in Boise is you damaged your program, which is very different than what Brian Kelly at LSU did. I remind you.
We're selling something a little bit differently, and that is we want to recruit. We want to engage, build relationships. We want to develop, retain, and have success. We're not in the market of buying players, and unfortunately, right now, that's what some guys are looking for. They want to be bought. And look, I understand NIL is part of this, and we have an incredible collective. We have very, very generous opportunities around the greater Baton Rouge area for NIL opportunities. So they are here, but we're not going to go out and buy players. That's not what.
You can say that when you've got the tiger on your chest.
Mm-hmm.
You can say that when Jaden went number 2 in the draft and you put multiple other players in the first round.
And he won the Heisman.
You can say that. You can't say that when most people don't know who the football coach at Boise State is. You can't say that when you don't have a recent national championship and recent wins over Alabama. You can't say that when people don't rubber stamp a visit to LSU because LSU sent you a letter. You almost crapped yourself when you saw the envelope in the box. Or when Brian Kelly is texting you, you know who Brian Kelly is.
Yeah.
You don't know the name of the Boise State football coach off the tip of your tongue. And I understand that over here in the Mountain West, maybe that's how Boise State likes it. But all you did yesterday was stood on your morals, which is well and good. You damaged your football program yesterday. That's all you did. And I think you can't possibly put yourself next to Brian Kelly, who essentially said the same thing, and then go a step further and say freshmen cannot earn NIL money. And then have to clarify it to the media afterwards.
Yeah, and by the way, it's not your business if a freshman can go out into the community and get paid. That's not your concern. Like, I hate to say this, but it's the reality of the situation. Like, there are going to be kids, and we're seeing it already, who understand how to leverage this individually. They understand, hey, like, I always point to Arch Manning or Buddy at Ole Miss, right? Getting these private jet deals. They
look at
understand
Shador.
it.
Look at
Shedeur.
at Travis Hunter. Like, those guys are making millions. NIL is never going to be about the Shedeurs or the Arches. It's going to be about the second string offensive lineman getting Built Bar to pay for a scholarship. It's about, those are the deals that matter. The kids at Utah that all got pickup trucks, those are the deals. It helps their lives, right? If you're a star player, you're probably making tens of thousands or millions, depending on where you are and what your profile is. At a minimum, you're making six figures. Caitlin Clark did very well, was able to stay in school because of the money she was making. But I'm telling you, at Boise State, you're not playing in the same pool.
Yeah.
You're not playing in the same zip code. The earth is flat or the earth is round. People, the earth is round. You're trying to make the argument that you're somehow on the same level. You're not. You're not. And the sad truth is, Boise's a great market. Boise State's a great football program that just won't stop telling you how great they are, because they have a perception versus reality problem.
Yeah.
And again, why isn't Fresno making the same outlandish remarks? Why isn't San Diego State making the same outlandish remarks?
Why
isn't YO making the same? Because it's not the right thing to do at their level. Did we not learn from the pro rata we deserve? And I'm being serious. Did we learn nothing from a G5 trying to leverage themselves against P5s like Boise State is trying to do with NIL? Did you learn nothing from your friends in the conference?
No, apparently not.
It's a mistake. It's a huge mistake.
Yeah, and I just don't. I don't understand what the emphasis was, or the catalyst was for Spencer to come out and do this. Like, obviously Brian Kelly made the comments, so I'm sure he saw those. But
I'm guessing.
But just the same way on the show yesterday, I was like, hey, Brian Kelly wouldn't just come out and say this out of the blue. Like, this is clearly a planned tactical thing that, the athletic director's in on. I'm sure school admin is in on some level. Like, multiple people have talked about this in a meeting and said, hey, yeah, this seems like a good strategy. Why don't we take this route and see, just what we can get out of it, and see if we can avoid having to deal with these kids who just want money, and see if we can find kind of that happy medium of kids who obviously want to make money, but also really prioritize having a good experience and being at the school for non-monetary reasons. Like, just the same way I made that point about Brian Kelly and LSU, I'm going to make the same point about Boise State in the other direction. This feels like Spencer doing this on his own. The way this came off, the way he was talking about it, it didn't seem planned. It seemed like much more of his personal opinion.
And I agree with the Ghost of Gumby here. Being rigid takes the options away from you and your program. Why take a hard line?
Yeah.
And I'm going to play it again because I think it is really significant. Listen to what Spencer Danielson, the head coach at Boise State, said yesterday.
Obviously, it's our job as a coaching staff, especially my job as a head coach, to build those relationships with these young men. I tell them, like, I'm involved in these kids' life because I love them, because I care about them, to develop them to be the best version of themselves off the field and on the field. And that is making sure we show them how we're going to develop them for the next level, and keeping the families and everyone connected as you walk through the process, because that's what we're different here. If someone was here just for the money or other stuff, like, that's not going to be a fit here. No different in recruiting. That's why when I talk to recruits, I'm upfront about those things. Like, if you're wanting things that don't directly correlate to you developing, do not come here. If it's about your jersey number and how much money you're getting on the first trip, do not come to Boise State. You will hate me and you will not want to be here. But if you're about developing to be the best version of yourself and be elite and want to compete, bet on yourself, come on. Like, you're going to fit here.
Very virtuous. Very, very utopic. Man, if you want to win, if you want to become a man, sir, come play for me. But if you want to know what jersey number you're going to wear, or you actually want to, make money off your name, image, and likeness, you probably should head to Laramie.
God bless.
That's awesome. Until you actually are like, I actually need to win games. Why don't we go ahead and give that wide receiver a call? I'll pull back that 69 for him.
Come on.
Right? Like, that's what we're this is really, again, virtuous. This is really ethical. This is, you want to get an education, Jimmy? Come play at Boise State, sir.
Yep.
We'll have you shoveling manure on day one. That's great. But that's not how you win football games.
Yeah, and I think that, again, there's always going to be someone in these type of situations who makes a mistake, and I do think this was a mistake. I don't think that it was smart for him to come out and say this. I think it would have been okay to gently and in a more reserved fashion say, hey, like, we have our, because he got asked about, one of his players, and the media question was like, hey, like, there's been a lot of illegal tampering, even though it's not illegal right now, but there's been a lot of illegal tampering and contact. And Spencer just went right down the rabbit hole and was way too aggressive with it. If he had just said, hey, like, we obviously understand that NIL is a big factor in college football right now. We have the conversations with recruits. And we believe that we can go out and find the happy medium between NIL and also wanting to play for Boise State.
But look at Cormani McLean from Colorado.
Yeah.
Because everybody talks about Prime in these conversations. Look at Cormani McLean. He signed with a P5, right? Like major university, got a huge NIL deal after he left Prime. Oh, wait, no, that hasn't happened. Cormani McLean is the player that we're talking about, because he went in there as the #1 corner recruit in the country, and then he didn't want to watch tape, refused to take his iPad to his dorm room to study, got paid, got his number, and then Prime wouldn't put him on the field. And when he did put him on the field, he failed miserably because he was not prepared.
Yeah.
And then he transferred, and his mom ripped Prime. He ripped Prime. And then his NIL agent said, we have offers across P5 schools. We'll have an announcement shortly. Cormani McLean is still not signed. He is still a free agent.
I thought you had offers, dude.
But this is what we're talking about. Is Cormani McLean even going to consider Boise State? Or, excuse me, Boise State?
No,
he's not. No, he's not. Rip Boise, Gumby says, here in the Monty West. Exactly. Exactly. Big Daddy Magic. Hey, playa, I would go to Boise State over BYU. And if they were my only two choices, I would rethink my football career. Good call. Caleb Williams is better than Victor Wembanyama. Boise coach better win now. That lease is short. Yes, it is. Everyone following Prime now. Prime said it first that he is not in the business of NIL, but NFL.
Well, but see, here's the difference, though. See, and this is the other fascinating part of the conversation. Why can Prime say that, but Buddy Spencer here can't say that?
Because Deion Sanders is a lightning rod.
Oh, that's right. Deion played in the NFL, has put guys in the league, and you believe in his ability. And yeah, sure. Was the Twitter spat that he had last week or the week before ideal? No.
Not
Did he
good.
apologize? Yes. So Deion has an advantage on you because he is in a Power 4 program and he has NFL experience, bro.
And he brings in a guy like Travis Hunter, who is inarguably one of the best players in college football now.
Yeah. So
he's
what
shown you he can
about?
develop. He's shown you he can develop players.
And they're already saying Shador's a top 5 pick before the season's even started.
If he survives. We'll see how that O-line does. Sir Bob Lob, what if he wins? Very interesting question. Very interesting question.
He better win.
But what if there is no earth? Now, this is a legitimate concern. NIL doesn't matter if there is no earth.
Right.
You know.
Well, that's the issue, isn't it?
San Diego State Glenn says we learned from the pro rabbi.
Yeah, I love that we haven't heard from J.D. Wicker in how long?
Smart. OG Gary. Gary's favorite team is Boise State. So this will be interesting. Are you pissed off we're saying that yet? I would love to see Kirby say the same thing in other big name schools. Yes, me too. Hopefully that shifts sentiment on NIL being the main thing to NIL being a supplemental or a nice add-on to develop. You're going to be paying players any way you want.
But I think
mean,
that there's real credence to the big boys trying to get players to get back on track mentally. I don't think that Brian Kelly is trying to say that they don't want to pay people. I think what he's trying to say is, hey, we don't want you coming here just for money. What we want is for you to want to be an LSU Tiger.
Go
and
Tigers.
In addition to that, understand that part of that experience is making money.
Which is what Prime has said.
Yeah.
Primus said that he wants kids to be about making a life. And I watch his Amazon Prime show. It's called Prime on Prime. And he talks to kids directly on that show all the time. You're here to save yourself. A lot of you, and he straight up says it, most of you are not going to the NFL. Get a degree. Colorado's got, he says, Colorado gives you a great education. Get a degree. Go make your money. I don't think Deion's anti-NIL.
Yeah.
I think what he is NIL being the only thing. That's what he's against.
Yeah.
In my opinion. But who am I to know? Chrissy, Prime said he's not in the business of talking money with players. He said he does not like collectives. Prime likes NIL, but not collectives. I think we're having the same conversation.
What head coaches don't like is kids being distracted mentally. So you can't have a kid who's more focused on sales than he is on watching game tape.
And it's what coach is talking about at Boise State.
Yeah.
Don't show up here day one and say, what's the uniform look like? What number? I want my number one, because every kid wants to wear number one, apparently. I want number one. And how much are you going to pay me every year? Guarantees in NIL. Don't ask me that right out of the gate.
Yeah.
Like, at least take me out to dinner and let's make out for a while first. I mean, that's what he's saying.
Yeah.
UW fan Jim, tell me you don't have NIL money without saying it. Well, that could be. Giggity, glad he wants kids to compete against themselves because they won't be competing against other teams with this strategy. No, they won't. No, they won't. John Dry, in the fall transfers, Colorado will probably transfer again in the fall. The transfers Colorado just got. Maybe. But anymore, like I always talk about Bobby Hurley at Arizona State basketball. Mm-hmm. He flips his roster every year. He had a great recruiting class in portal this year. Guys like Prime, everybody makes a big deal about the guys going in and the guys going out. Did you win or did you not? They arguably had a better year last year than they had in a decade. Now he needs to become bowl eligible. He's going to win 6-7 games this year.
Yes.
The Big 12 needs him. That's going to be the bar. We make far too much about how many kids come and how many kids go.
Yeah.
We make far too much out of that. Are you winning with the kids that are coming and going? We'll find out. Let's see. Chrissy, Cormani was getting paid $25K by Colorado collectives and didn't do dick.
Yeah.
Would not study. Would not. Like there was and I don't remember who the player was. One of his teammates, not with the last name Sanders, took a picture of Cormani's locker last year, and his iPad is sitting right there on his bench, and Cormani had gone. Like, how are you leaving your iPad in your locker, dude? In the middle of a season with all of your video
Johnny
and
Manziel,
all of it.
bro.
It truly, I can film study on the flight to Vegas. You never did. Don't conflate with with inquiries. Exactly. Got here late about Coach Prime. He can recruit and develop, but can he win the big games? Jury's still out on him as a head coach, no doubt.
Yeah, still proving to do.
Jeremiah Champion. I can't find Buffalo Bills tickets for less than $109 right now. He is making Colorado money. Oh, Buffalo tickets. They did not sell out their spring game, though, which is interesting. So, Chris C., Prime can win big games. Colorado played most ranked teams last year and lost by an average of 7 points. With better trenches, they win many games. If they had this offensive line and defensive line, they'd have won 8 games last year.
Yeah.
I have no doubt about it. I'm fine with jersey number 69, Gumby says.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Okay.
Next portal opens December 4th during bowl games. Colorado will be fine. Yeah, you're done now. Kids are done moving. Plain and simple. Now it's about summer work. Now it's about building consistency. But this NIL thing's not going anywhere. And I don't know if you guys saw it real quick before we start non-sports nonsense. New legislation introduced. The Ball Act would ensure that the NCAA conferences and institutions can regulate recruiting, eligibility standards, and how athletes receive compensation without facing further litigation. Now, little old Monty over here, we've talked about this at length.
Yeah.
I think you need a government action to protect against further lawsuits. Because you're going to give up $3 billion here if you're the members that make up the NCAA. You're paying $3 billion. It is what it is. Deal with it. But you cannot continue to get litigated against. And this is from Russell Fry, a Republican from South Carolina, and Barry Moore, the Republican from Alabama. They wrote an act, the Protect the Ball Act. Now, I think, as many have said, this is part of a larger piece of legislation, giving the NCAA stability and a foundation to operate on, right? The House versus NCAA lawsuit is the big one that is going to cost the NCAA and its institutions $3 billion. So Congress has to act, in my opinion, because I don't know, and maybe you get both. I don't see that you're going to be able to collectively bargain with players. That infrastructure doesn't exist. So I think you needed this legislation. The question is, what's the upshot? What's the final package look like to protect the NCAA and its institutions against these continuing lawsuits? And right. I don't know that that's going to happen in totality. You're always going to have lawsuits. You will, because we're in this society where, well, I don't like the rule as it's applied to me. I'm going to sue.
Right.
That's what we do.
Become common practice now.
It's what we do. What we do.
We just do it all the time.
So I don't know. Do you want Congress and the government involved in this?
I mean, I don't want them to be, but I think we're at that point where it's being necessitated. But
How are you not?
Yeah. I mean, we need some type of governing body to protect the NCAA on some level. Like you can't. It's just not productive to have the NCAA being sued constantly. What is productive is, hey, we need to make this change. We need to make changes to the structure of the business model of the sport, and we need to do that in a different way than just constantly suing the NCAA. I do think that the suits that have been brought so far were necessary, and I do think that they've pushed the ball forward. But yeah, I mean, I think we need some legislature to kind of calm the seas a little bit.
I think this is the only way, because you're looking at, and I always like the big words, but you're looking at an existential crisis for college athletics.
Yeah.
You're looking at the death of the current model. It is what it is. You're looking at the death of the current model. I mean, Shooter Texas says, I was a linebacker. Everyone fought over 44 and 45, the guns.
Yeah, jersey numbers have always been a thing. Yeah. This is not new. The what's new is, hey, I'm not going to come play for you if you don't give me number one and 20 G's a month.
That's what's new.
Yeah.
Mike Smith, 54, the Mansta. Inches. Chris E. Okay. So now we're only playing by your rules. The NCAA is getting taken to the cleaners. They are approving everything wrong for college football. The conferences need to start taking leadership. Well,
yeah, I think it's a little deeper than that, bro.